Hi, these comments are for ML, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. Thank you for doing the speaking practice test. You're one of my online TOEFL course students, and it looks like right now you're practicing integrated speaking, right? So let's get to the integrated speaking rubrics here. And right now, you've been scoring anywhere from the low three to the mid three. So you're anywhere between 23 and say 26 points. So I think you're in progress and you're moving forward and you're getting a little bit better each week, especially with your delivery. So keep up the good work. Okay, let's listen to your practice test one time first, and then I'll give you my first impression.
Professor in the lecture talks about decentralization, which is when one large company has more than one branches and locations, and the branch manager makes a bad decision which can harm the entire company.
Your tone is better.
Professor explains about disadvantages of decentralization. First of all, bad decisions of the local manager affects the entire company.
You did
She
something
gives an
different with your
example of a
tone this
clothing
time.
store where one store is not
Wow.
doing well and the branch manager
Wow,
decides
wow.
to use the entire company's money for advertisement to attract customers. But in fact, the good decision would be to close that store. Second is company's policy carrying differently in different locations. For example, even though the company's policy is that the customer can return back the product if they are not happy, but one store does not allow that and the customers get upset because they cannot return their clothes and cannot get back their money.
Yes. Boy, I've been working with you for about a month now on that intonation, and you did it. You did something different, right? You're not speaking in monotone anymore. Yes, that's what I'm looking for right there. You broke through the ceiling, right? Intonation sounds more natural. Very nice. Wow, my goodness. Let's look at the rubrics here. You have minor difficulty with pronunciation or intonation. Pacing may vary. Not many problems in this area. Good control of your language use. Topic development was strong. Organization and development. I don't know. I'm going to say 3.5 to 4 on this baby. My goodness. Let's listen to it one more time. Let's see how you did. And I'll be a little bit more careful. I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to your language use and topic development. But I was so surprised at your intonation. Wow.
Professor in the lecture talks about decentralization, which is when one large company has more than one branches and locations, and the branch manager makes a bad decision which can harm the entire company.
Now, when you get to the last word in the sentence, then the tone falls. So I like what you're doing, though. At the end of each thought group, you have a slightly higher pitch, right? That tells me you're not done with that sentence yet.
Professor explains about disadvantages of decentralization. First of all, bad decisions of the local manager affects the entire company.
So my only suggestion might be, as in the introduction, I probably told you this 1,000 times, but I like to have an introduction that connects the reading and the listening passage. So you would say something like this. The reading passage discusses a concept called decentralization, and then the speaker in the lecture gives an example to illustrate this idea even more. So that's what you would do in the introduction. Then you move to defining decentralization according to the author in the reading passage. And then once you're done with that, then you move to the information in the lecture.
She gives an example of a clothing store where one store is not doing well and the branch manager decides to use the entire company's money for advertisement to attract customers. But in fact, the good decision would be to close that store. Second is company's policy carrying differently in different locations. For example, even though the company's policy is that the customer can return back the product if they are not happy, but one store does not allow that.
Okay, if I got to check your language use, I'm going to check your pronoun agreement here. This is a common error even among native
But in
speakers.
fact, the good decision would be to close that store. Second is company's policy carrying differently in different locations. For example, even though the company's policy is that the customer can return back the product
So you said the customer can return back the product. So customer, as in singular,
if they are not happy,
if he or she is not happy, or you can say customers can return back the product if they are not happy. So be careful of your pronoun agreement. Be careful of your singular versus your plural nouns.
but one store does not allow that and the customers get upset because they cannot return their clothes and cannot get back their money.
Wow, okay, so now what? Well, let's take a look at it. Let me think about it. So you had just one error that I saw. You have a pronoun agreement error, or it could have been a possible forgetting to put the plural s ending on customer. Could have been either way, but that's a very small error, though. That's not like a major thing, and it doesn't in any way obscure meaning. So they do not require listener effort or obscure meaning. There might have been one or two words in there I had to really pay attention to, so I'm not going to say it's perfect. Wow, my goodness. I'm going to put you at 25 to 27 on this thing. Yeah, I think it's possible you could get the 26 on this if you did this on all four tasks. And the one thing, the game changer here for you is the delivery, the intonation. To me, that blew me away. I was overwhelmed by the change you made with the tone. So I want you to stay with that. I want you to stay with that tone. I want you to listen to this practice test again on another day. And remember, this is the day you changed your tone. You made it more natural. So to you, it might not seem natural, right? Because it's different from the patterns of your own language, right? You put on a speaking mask, right? You put the speaking mask on, you pretended to be a native speaker, and you varied your tone just like native speakers. Now, whether or not it's natural to you, the key, it's natural to me. It's natural to your audience. It's natural to the IBT human raters. So that is what I'm talking about. Stay with the tone. Keep practicing. You're making a lot of good progress here. All right? And thank you for completing this practice test.